earlier, from an estate planning standpoint, it would seem to me that what this would allow, having a long-term care insurance policy in place, would allow you to preserve those assets that you already have. You don't have to worry about spending them down now, and you don't have to be as concerned about where those things are going to go. Then you can make that part of your comprehensive estate plan. You may be putting your assets into a trust, or you might be putting assets into other types of things, or distributing them to your children, or various things like that. But all that, having that long-term care insurance tool gives you some flexibility and allows you to control where your assets are going to go much better.
Precisely. By having long-term care insurance, you remove the uncertainty of, am I going to have to earmark $1 or $2 or $3 million worth of my assets for long-term care? You take that off the table, and you can then plan a much better use, a much better disposition, better in terms of what you want, by not having to worry about long-term care. It's covered. Phil, there are only 3 ways of paying for long-term care services. One, you could pay out of your net worth, out of your assets. Usually that means there was no plan in place, and it just sort of, the crisis happens and the money comes from somewhere, which may not be good for the overall estate plan. So number 1, you pay for it out of your assets. Number 2, you could qualify for Medicaid. Now Medicaid it's paid for by a combination of federal funds and state funds. And in order to qualify for Medicaid, you have to spend down assets, or more accurately, you cannot have too much in the way of assets, and the current number is somewhere around $113,000, $114,000 combined for a couple. Now, there are a few exclusions. For people who have a choice, Medicaid is not a good answer. Medicaid is heavily biased towards nursing home, which means that if you do qualify for Medicaid, you're going to spend your remaining time in a nursing home, not where most people want to be. The third way of paying for care is long-term care insurance. Now that is a very simple risk shifting device. You shift the risk of needing long-term care services from your shoulders onto those of an insurance company. So we have 3 ways of paying for care. Number 1, you could pay for it with your own assets. Number 2, you could eventually qualify for Medicaid. I'm not sure you want to do that, but you could. And number 3, you offload the risk by using long-term care insurance.
So will long-term care insurance, will that pay for somebody who does go into a nursing home as well? Will it cover those kinds of things?
Yes. Any long-term care insurance written by me will include home care, adult daycare, assisted living, and nursing home in whatever combination of those venues are needed. And who decides what's needed? Well, you do, or your advocate if you're mentally incapacitated at the time.